lives we've been doing on customer customization. So we're going to take you through, in this case, a Magnolia floor plan that one of our customers customized and put their own spin on and built on their beautiful 10 acres out in Guadalupe County, Texas. And today we are so lucky to be joined by Hollie Willson from our San Marcos Design Center. Say hello, Hollie.
Hello.
And I almost forgot to mention Dawn Dantzler, Director of Marketing, moderating behind the scenes. Hello, Dawn.
Hi, everybody.
So Dawn, as always, will be moderating this. So if you have any questions at all, jump anytime you want to. Type in your questions. She'll interject at various times, and we'll stop and answer your questions. But we're here to help educate you on different ideas that you can do, help answer any questions as you embark on this journey of potentially building a home on your land, a custom home. So Hollie, like I said, is at our San Marcos location just south of Austin, Texas. Hollie, tell us a little about your journey into Tilson Homes, how long you've been here, and what you enjoy about doing this whole gig.
Okay, great. Thanks, Eric. So I've been with Tilson Homes for 7 years. Started out here as a hostess, then became a sales assistant, and finally went into sales just within this past year. I'm really enjoying the opportunity to work face-to-face with customers. I grew up kind of with a background in construction, sat out in the pickup with my ginger snaps and my coloring books when I was about 3 while Mom and Dad built our home on our 40 acres in the Colorado Springs area in Colorado. And have had other family members in construction through the years, so I'm fairly familiar with what all's involved. And I'm always happy to try to help people realize whatever their dream is for their particular home on their land.
Very, very cool. That's awesome. Thank you. And thank you for carving time out of your day today to join us to do this. I really appreciate it. I enjoy visiting with your customers because they're super, super happy to hear from. And so I know you said you've been in sales for just a year, but the reality is you were helping customers design and put their homes into reality for most of the last 7 years with us. So,
that's probably true.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, without further ado, we do want to start out again. We're going to take you guys through kind of what this plan starts out at, the changes that this particular customer made to the plan. Hollie will give us a little bit of insight to the story behind that, and then chime in with questions. We'll be glad to answer them, everything that we can. And if we can't, we will get you an answer. But I don't think we haven't been stumped just yet. It's possible, though. It's very possible. All right, so the Magnolia happens to be a floor plan of ours. It's about 2,250, 2,260 square feet of heated living area. And this is how it looks to start with. So Hollie, give us a little bit about kind of what brought this customer in. How did they hear about us even? How were you introduced to them? And give us their journey from there.
Okay, great. So originally the Riedels had some folks that lived just down the road from their property that had contracted to build a Tilson home. And I had actually assisted on that home as well. And they talked with them, and those customers told them how wonderful they thought Tilson was, what a great job we had done on their home. And so that prompted them to call in to Tilson Homes. From there, they talked to one of our online sales counselors, who then set up an appointment for me to speak with them in person. The first time that they came in, we discussed kind of what was going on with them and how they came about the process of building on their land. They had bought 10 acres in Kingsbury in Guadalupe County within about the past year. They already had well and septic in place, and they were living on the property in their fifth wheel with their newborn little baby girl. They were very, very anxious to get started on the process. They already had some savings in place, so they were really in a very good position to get started on building their home on their land.
Interesting. So they were living on the property in a travel trailer, you're saying?
Yes.
So they would have been there through the duration of construction, right?
That's correct.
That's interesting, because we do get people who ask, hey, how often will I get to see the house while it's under construction, or what kind of, am I allowed to go visit? And so, to put it lightly, the answer would be yes. They were living there with a newborn in a 30-foot travel trailer with well and septic. So yes, very cool.
Correct. Yes.
So this is the Magnolia, the C elevation, but the house they built doesn't look like this, Hollie. So what went down?
They had been looking at several of the homes on our website. They had actually looked at the Bridgeport and the Gonzales as well as the Magnolia. And as we began to talk about what their desires were in a home, I began thinking about and going through some of the different custom options that I knew were available for that home, so that we could look at those together and explore how that would work out for them. I knew that they wanted to be able to come in from outside into a drop zone area so they could take off any, muddy shoes or boots.
Sure.
And that they wanted a large covered front porch, and that they also wanted a big back porch. So that's where we started in with making the custom changes. They also wanted the farmhouse look. They didn't want any masonry on the home at all. And so we began exploring how that would happen. Some of the things that they wanted to do would increase the cost of the base price of the home. And some of the things they wanted to do would decrease it, like removing the masonry. So we looked at each one of those options, and then I began arriving at the final floor plan that we were to build for them.
Okay, so take us through these changes that they made to the base plan a little bit.
Okay, great. So on the numbers that you see here on the plan on your screen, that number 1 there says a drop zone option. So again, this was something that was very important to them. They wanted to be able to enter that home without having to walk across the living area to take off shoes or boots. So we added that custom option, which also moved the utility room to a different location than originally on the plan. And that area originally on the plan would have been just a flex area. So now we've repurposed that. The second thing they wanted was a big island in the kitchen, but the original Magnolia had kind of a curved island, more of an L shape. They would preferred to have something a little bit more of a rectangular shape. And they also wanted it to be all one level instead of having a raised eating bar that you might see on that floor plan. If you look at it online, the original floor plan was to have a raised eating bar, and they wanted it all one level. So we were able to take care of that too.
Sure.
The third thing that they wanted to have a cathedral ceiling in the family room, and they also liked that look of the cedar wrap on the cathedral ceiling beam. So we were able to accommodate that, bring that color that you'll also see on the beams on their front porch into the interior of the home. The next option that they chose was to have a walk-in shower in the master bath. Normally this plan would come with a bathtub, a soaker type tub, and a shower, but they would prefer just to have the walk-in shower instead. A lot of people, depending on their needs, may want the walk-in shower because they're a little older and can't get in and out of those big soaker tubs so easily. Yep. Or they just prefer not to have a bathtub in their master. So that's something that's one of the options that's easy to do. The fifth thing they wanted to, we talked about removing all the exterior masonry because they wanted that farmhouse look. So I was able to calculate what that would entail, deleting the brick or stone, whichever would be on that house, and then giving them a credit for that, and then also adding the board and batten siding to create the look they wanted. And last, the extended rear covered porch, because they wanted some nice covered porch for entertaining outside in the beautiful countryside that they live on.
Yeah, I looked at the pictures of their land, and of course, it's 10 acres, like you said, which is a really nice big place. But there's so many trees they have, and you could tell why. And that covered porch that you designed on there, that's like 60 or 70% again the size of the family room. So it's almost like having another living space outside. And in that area of Texas, between Seguin and Luling, where they are, it doesn't get super humid like it does in as you get closer to Houston. So you can enjoy a lot out there. Talk to me a little bit about, because about half of our customers end up doing some type of attached or detached garage when they build, and then about half do not. Kind of what factors into people's decision when they're doing that?
I think it, for these customers and some of the others I've worked with, They may not want an attached garage because they may be planning on using that garage for other uses. They may have a workshop inside of that garage, so they want to customize that space, and we can certainly do either an attached or detached garage for them, just depending on their preference. And these folks, I believe, they didn't want it attached to the home. They wanted to be able to have a little bit of space between the home and the garage structure.
Right. Yeah, they have enough space for it. Most of our customers having talking about 10 acres or more. You can build a 1,800, 2,000 square foot metal shop further away from the home, somewhere else on the property, and maybe they want to put their travel trailer in there, or like you said, a workshop. And anyway, so yeah, you guys ask your questions. We'll kind of pause here for just 1 second. If you got any questions at all, type them into the chat. Dawn will notify us, and we'll try to answer all your questions. So, Dawn, we got any questions just yet?
Yes, we did have a question come in. Katie is wondering how much it usually costs to add an attached garage or a carport.
Hollie Willson, take it away.
All right. It's going to depend a little bit on the size of that garage that you want. It'll depend on what kind of exterior materials are on that garage. For us, a carport is going to be built basically the same way as a garage. It's still going to have the same roof structure, trusses. It's going to have, if there's masonry on the outside of your home, there's going to be posts on that carport that will mirror the type of exterior masonry that's on that home. It's going to be priced pretty much the same as a garage because of the type of materials that we use in it.
So like our average 2-car, 22 by 22, what about how much approximately?
Approximately, I'm going to say a 2-car around $30,000.
Yeah, that's about right. Yeah, about 30,000. And yeah, and again, about half of our customers do that, about half do not. About half of our floor plans have them already integrated into the home. Every one of our floor plans has a place where we have designed for it to go. So that's something that's very easy to do on every single floor plan. There's a few engineering things we want to kind of work through, make sure that, we try to make sure that 2/3 of it is attached to the main structure. That's just for a foundation reasons, things like that. So, all right. So
we can make them any size. If you want something that's, bigger than the norm, if you've got extra long vehicles, like an SUV or a king cab truck, we can make them the size that will accommodate whatever type of vehicles you have.
The answer to this one is the price difference between attached and detached. The answer is they're about the same price, very, very close to being the same. The difference is on an attached, the inside of it's going to be it's going to be sheetrocked, tape floated, textured, trimmed, and painted. And on a detached garage, it's not. It's going to be exposed studs and rafters. So kind of what you're saving on the sheetrock and on the ceiling and on the walls on an attached garage by doing it detached, you are spending on that fourth wall of the detached garage. Remember, on an attached garage, we're only building 3 walls because one wall's already there, the wall of the house that it's sharing. And on a detached, you got all 4 walls. So great question.
Okay, great. And then we have a couple people asking, Joe is one of them, just kind of curious, ballpark, how much did the house end up costing?
Hollie, you probably got that, or you can get it in.
That is
look it up.
a great question. That's something I don't know off the top of my head.
I think I actually, no, that's not, I can look that up while you're taking us to the next part of the slide. I can find that. That's easy.
Okay, but you did say they got a credit for taking that masonry off, so
correct.
Probably.
And the tub as well.
Right.
Yeah. So would it be pretty close to what we're showing as the base price once you take into consideration the stuff they took out and the stuff they put in, or you don't want to say?
We don't have to guess. Don't worry. We can
guess. We're going to look it up. Got it.
It is. You're looking about $285.
All right.
$285 is what this house ended up costing this time.
And then Eric, while you have that file open, Paul is wondering how long it took for them to get the plan approval.
And yeah, this house went real quick. And that's been part of that. A lot of that has to do with the customer, of course, and their love. But a great amount can be attributed to Hollie and having your stuff organized and together. This particular house, they went under contract at the end of August, and they were into construction at the end of October, first week of November. So about 6 weeks total. which is fantastic time frame. That means that both, like I said, the customer and Hollie were Johnny on the spot with anything we needed. Part of it is Guadalupe County is not a super complicated place to get. They were real on the ball with a septic permit, things like that had to be done. And then it was about 5 months of construction. So truly from this one, I mean, they closed at the end of March. So it took 7 months from the day they gave us the deposit to the time we handed them the keys.
Oh, that's great.
I think partly it helped too that the customers already had some of their property things taken care of. They had their septic.
Great point. That's a great point, Hollie. Yeah. The septic was there. The water was there. Road obviously was there. A lot of the utility stuff was already in place. Very, very well said. Yeah.
Okay. Christy is curious if this house has attic storage and access.
There's going to be attic access to any of our homes, mainly because a lot of the mechanical type things will be located up in the attic. But as far as having storage, we don't build them to have storage. We can put attic decking in the attic if that's something that you would like. I just recently did that for one of the homes that I designed for some folks. And so we just figure out exactly how much decking you think you would like, make sure it's going to fit into the way the rafters are set up in that home. And that's something we can definitely add for you.
Yeah, that's great. And then the gabled style roof, which is what this farmhouse is, does allow for a little bit more headroom up in the attic than say like a hip roof. Like what you see pictured behind me here would be a hip on the sides. And here you're going to have a little less headroom on these, whereas a gable that comes out like that with the way these are done. So great question. But yeah, every house we build has a 30-inch by 54-inch disappearing stairway. Big heavy duty thing with aluminum 350-pound rated staircase. So yeah, you can get up and down there and you can store some stuff.
Great.
I can vouch for it.
I'll let you guys adjust. We have a lot of questions coming in about specific pricing for this exact home in your county. So I thought I'd pop this up there. Everybody, the best way to get pricing on this would be to reach out to one of our design centers, since there are some custom options and some changes. It's not something that we have already ready prepared for our social media team, but any of our design consultants could give you that exact information. Just give us a call or send us a request through the website, and we can get that put together for you.
Yeah, great point. Yeah, if you got questions on the price, the pricing is on the website, and then yeah, like you said, reach out to the number or the contact form on the website, and we'll get your exact county for the custom options and things like that you're wanting. But here's a good question. Doing my preliminary work at this point with the current state we are in, what is the best way to look into getting a quote for a custom home with y'all? We're looking at the end of next summer or early fall of 2021. So, all right, we're doing the best we can to keep everyone safe, our employees and customers, prospects alike. We are following what they're referring to as social distancing. When I hear that phrase is kind of now starting to go away, and now it's physical distancing. We want to socially be together still. Like Hollie and I are 150 miles apart, but I feel very connected to Hollie right now. She's right there. So I don't feel socially disconnected from her at all. But we are, so things like we're not allowing more than 10 people in the buildings at one time. Our offices are open. Our model homes are open. Construction is considered essential in the state of Texas. And thankfully, Governor Abbott has articulated as such. And because there is a housing shortage, period, at the end of the day. And not just broadly speaking, but certainly in Texas, certainly in around Austin, Texas, San Marcos, where Hollie is, there's a huge housing shortage. So we are open our usual office hours. If you'd like to do one-on-one appointments in person, you can schedule that. We're ensuring we are doing it by appointment because we do want to make sure that we don't have more than that 10 people in the building at one time. So we are requesting to make an appointment for that. We can also do virtual appointments, or we could sit with you one-on-one, just like Hollie and I are now. She could share her screen, go through pricing, go through plan modifications, custom options with you. If you're more comfortable doing that virtually at this time, we can do that as well. So basically, whatever you're comfortable with, Justin, we're going to meet you on that level.
I did a virtual contract last week, so I know it works, and I'm very happy to work with clients to do that if they're more comfortable with that.
Yep. And Danielle, that's a great cue to let's get back in the game. Do we have interior photos? Yes, we do. So thanks for hanging with us this far. We're going to get one or two more exteriors, and then we're going to get into interior shots. So Hollie, I'm going to kick it back to you. Tell me kind of anything else they want, like maybe why the vertical board and bat as opposed to horizontal hardy plank. And you can see their camper here in the background if you look carefully on the left side. So go ahead, Hollie.
Okay. So one of the things that these customers wanted was, as I said, the vertical board and bat and siding. We do have other options, different choices of siding that you can choose from, but their particular desire was to have the board and batten siding, which was very easy for us to do. They also wanted to do a little bit different style of window than was on the original plan. The original one had a window that I believe is called the Colonial, and this one is a 2 light over 2 light, or a 2 over 2. So those are types of things that we can do to the floor plans to make them look a little bit different, to make them your own, if you will. They did choose to keep the rough sawn shutters on each wing of the home. That's something that is an option that you can delete if you're not crazy about those. Same thing with those dormers up there at the top. Those little peak things that stick out on the roof line. They're mainly there for curb appeal. They give a certain ambiance to the house that if you're not happy with that, we can remove those and give you credit as well.
Beautiful. I love the contrast. They see the black hardware at the base of the posts and that black roof, and really good job. And is there a particular brand, Hollie, that we use of the siding?
Right now, we're using James Hardie siding. James Hardie,
best of the best.
They're called, and it's a cement board, so it doesn't. Termites don't like to eat cement, so they don't bother that.
Exactly right. Yeah, it's a great product, guys. It has a 30-year warranty. If you use the complete James Hardie system, which we do, which is the siding, the fascia board, which is the board you see up front here, and then, of course, your corner boards and things, that Hardie gives you a little bit longer warranty. So there's one other angled shot of the other side of the home. You see the beautiful trees and landscaping final grade. And then tell us about this rear covered porch.
So that is one of the custom options that you can choose with several of our different floor plans that you'll see on our website. And we can either make it the exact size that you see on the custom option, or we can adjust the size depending on what you want to do with that part of your home. It also has the cedar or rough sawn cedar look posts that can be stained or painted depending on your particular taste.
Tell me about these windows in the family room.
Those are both large fixed glass windows. Really nice to be able to look out at your view from the back of the home. We also have options to, if you would prefer to have, say, a couple of French doors that opened out from the family room onto that rear covered porch. That is an option that we can certainly discuss, changing out those bigger windows for a couple of French doors, maybe 2 smaller windows on each side of the French doors.
Very cool. All right, so now some of what everybody's been waiting for. You want to pause here real quick for a question or two, Dawn, or go on into the interior, let people look at this as a beautiful backdrop?
We can pop up one question that keeps coming up. We've actually had a couple of people ask us about this, so we'll address it. Let me find it real quickly. So they're asking if they have to use the design consultant in their area, or if they can work with Hollie. Hollie, you have fans.
So,
I'll be happy to help you.
The answer is yeah. I mean, so of course, you work with whoever you want to work with. So we are a family-owned company. All 11 locations are the same company. It's not a franchise. It's not regional here or there. The pricing is based on the county in which you are building, so it has nothing to do with location you go to. You do need to keep in mind that obviously you want to work with somebody that you trust and get along with and jive with, and we all understand that. The other thing is you will have to make some trips, most likely. Now that's changing a little bit in our current world, but that certainly the design center selection stuff is something to consider. We have started cataloging our color selections, some of our design studio things. But we have found that most of our customers really do want to be able to put their hands on, like these light fixtures, these plumbing fixtures, this cabinet hardware, these cabinet doors, this brick. So that's something to consider is we you know, you may have to make a trip at least to do that and really to review the final plans. It can be done virtually. Like Hollie said, she did a virtual contract with a customer this past weekend, and that's no problem. But I would venture to say that when it comes time for them to do their design center selections, they're probably going to make a trip in. Is that fair, Hollie?
Yes, and I think also it depends on, you know, sometimes folks live somewhere else, but they're planning on building somewhere out here in the hill country near where our office is. And so, you know, maybe they want to contract with an office that's closer to where they currently live, where others may be coming up here on the weekends to go out there and visit that property on a regular basis. And if they'd rather work with our office here, that'd be fine too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Very cool. All right.
Linda wants to know how she can reach out to you directly, Hollie. You want to give your phone number a shout out?
Sure. My direct line here, and I can never remember it without looking at it, is 512-323-3974.
And you can also email her at wilsonh@tilsonhome.com.
Right.
Great question. So Valerie is asking about foundations.
Yes. So can you do pier and beam, or do you only build on cement foundation? So the answer is we typically are going to do a slab on grade. Yeah, that's pretty well all that we do. We have investigated. Well, if you go back all 88 years, yeah, we've built on everything you can possibly think of. We've done wood pilings, we've done pier and beam, we've done slab on grade, we've done it all. I don't think we've done any floating houses that I'm aware of, but that doesn't. I wasn't around 88 years ago. I could be wrong, but we have more recently investigated the idea of doing some more on pier and beam. It's really not a better foundation method. I understand people want it for the look in some cases, but long term, we really like the low maintenance of the slab on grade for the performance of the foundation itself, with the post tension, the way that we do it and design it, and then also it's just an easier, like for the flooring system and things like that. You have less exposure to moisture and different things like that, whereas you're going to have a subfloor with a pier and beam type of foundation, which means you got to figure out a way to combat the moisture. We're using a lot of luxury vinyl plank these days, which have to put a different type of membrane down before you do that on a pier and beam. It does drive the cost up quite a bit. It's something to think about. But
okay, great. Christy had a question specifically on this plan of what was the size of that back porch.
Let me look here. I happen to have a copy of the plan in front of me that actually was the work copy that I used. I'll show it to you here. That's the work copy I used when I was designing the home for these folks. So that porch was 18 feet 8 inches side to side, and the depth front to back. I'll actually pull out my little architectural rule here and measure that.
it looked to be about 19 by 14, 19 by 13, something like that.
About 11 deep.
Okay.
Okay, great.
8 by 11.
You can make that any size you want.
Yeah, whatever size you want.
Wonderful. And then Dave is asking if he finds land that doesn't have utility, can we help him with getting those utilities?
Yes, we can.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Great question, Dave.
All right.
All right.
Yeah, why don't we go ahead and move on, and then we'll circle back and get more questions.
All right. Well, y'all keep asking your questions. We'll answer them. Once we're done with this, we'll stay on and keep answering stuff if we need to. But let's take us into the kitchen, Hollie.
All right. So this kitchen, we did some customization. As I said before, they decided they didn't want the curved island with the curved eating bar that was raised. And so we made it a little bit more rectangular, removed the raised portion and just made it a flat 36-inch high bar top. And they chose one of our quartz products for their countertops. The standard countertop that comes included with the plan would be granite. We have several different colors of granite, but they really wanted that white farmhouse look throughout. And so that's one of the options that they decide to do a little upgrade on, as well as the subway tile backsplash. Again, we would have a base level ceramic tile that would come standard, but we have other choices that you can make for the type of backsplash that you would like on your home. They also wanted the white cabinets. We have a variety of different colors of cabinets. in the painted cabinets as well as the different stains that you can choose from for your cabinets. But we were able to get them the shaker style white painted cabinet.
Awesome. Yeah, that's and I see they did. You got cooktop, double ovens, and I love the contrast of the cabinet hardware as well.
Yes. And on this particular plan, they did make a few changes on the layout just to, kind of suit what their particular lifestyle was. It did come with the ceiling fans in the family room and all of the bedrooms. So that is something that is part of the plan. They chose a farmhouse sink. Normally our plans would come with a undermount stainless steel sink and a stainless steel faucet, but they wanted that farmhouse sink. We have several different styles of farmhouse sinks that you can choose from as well. And then they chose one of the vinyl plank floorings for the part of the house that's out here where we can see it here in the front. And actually we extended that over into the family room, the breakfast area, and the utility and drop zone.
Yeah, it's beautiful. There's those big windows again, looking onto the, kind of bringing that outdoors in. That's a lot of natural light pouring into this space. It's really nice.
One of the things you can't really see real well in this photo is this is showing that cathedral ceiling in the family room. And we also wrapped that beam there at the top with the rough sawn cedar so that it had the same color and finish as the posts on the front and rear porch.
Gorgeous.
Hey, Hollie, I'm going to cut in here for a second. We are having a couple of people asking about the floor. Do you guys have the information in front of you on which floor color that is? I know it's the luxury vinyl plank.
Let me just grab their file and I will look real quickly for you.
Yeah, I'm seeing it's the Riverside Merrimack is what I'm showing.
Yes, I believe you are correct on that, Eric.
I have my moments.
You are good.
It's a luxury vinyl plank known as Riverside Merrimack. Really, really durable product. Very durable product.
Awesome. Thank you.
No problem.
So this is a view of the dining area with the pendant that comes with the home. And again,
it's way up there so that people like me, when you're walking through not paying attention, don't hit your head on it. Ordinarily in the home, it will be down at over the table level, but that's actually what knocked all my hair out. It wasn't just regular hair. It was walking through houses, knocking my head onto light fixtures.
That's it. This also shows that at the rear of the breakfast area, you've got these 4 windows, so they get a nice view of their trees back here on the rear of their property.
Beautiful. All right. Come on. And this was that drop zone option. Tell us a little bit about what's going on here.
Yeah, so this option gives you that space to come in from the side of the home. And if you wanted to attach a garage on that side, you could certainly do that as well. But it brings you into the home from the side there. You have a bench that is just open below for you to put your boots and shoes and things like that. A little cabinet up above for storing whatever, hats, caps, whatever. And then it also includes a little closet area there for you to hang your coats or whatever type of other items you'd like to have in that closet.
That's right. In Texas, you might need a coat, maybe. So there's a very small closet for coats. Tell us what they did in the master shower. So they got rid of the tub, right? We kind of talked about that trend where people are going to less soaking tubs and larger space in the shower. Tell us about this. Is beautiful. Right.
So they chose a type of tile for the floor that looks like kind of a river rock look. And then we actually had to make a last minute change on this one. They originally had chosen a tile for the walls of the master shower, and when they started putting it in bathroom 2, which we do have a photo of a little further along, they decided they didn't really want that in their master bathroom. So they were able to come in here to the design center and reselect a different type of tile for the master shower surround. So we were able to accommodate that change.
It's really pretty. Really, really pretty.
Just a little bit longer strips of the subway type tile. And this is that bath too. So this was the tile that after they got it installed in there, they were thinking, well, maybe they'd rather have something a little different for their master bath.
Excellent.
And again,
I love the floor tile too. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
These are the newer style that it's about 12 by 24. So we have a lot of different sizes and types of tile, 12 by 12s, 16 by 16, 18 by 18. These are 12 by 24. A lot of different selections that you can choose in our color room.
Awesome. And I see all the LED lighting that's throughout that's going to be included, of course, in all the homes. Energy Star exhaust fan here, and of course, our Delta plumbing fixtures. So still beautiful contrast with the cabinets in that floor. They did a really great job.
Yes.
All right. So now we have more questions, I know. So tell us a little bit, Dawn, about any other questions that are going on.
All right. So Valerie is asking if we can do a wraparound porch on our models.
You can. It's going to depend on your budget. So covered porch is one of those things that it's gorgeous and love to enjoy them, but it does add to the cost. So that's why we don't see a lot of customers end up wrapping it all the way around. We'll see them maybe wrap it around a corner, maybe two sides, but very, very few customers end up doing it fully wrapped all the way around. Just because it ends up being kind of cost prohibitive to do that. It's because it's the same slab as the house, same roof as the house, you still got to finish the ceiling of it with something. It's going to be hardy soffit of some sort. Still got to be painted, still got to be engineered, still got to be everything else. So it's not like it'll be super, super cheap to do. It costs money to do it correctly.
Okay. All right, and Marie is asking, what was the total square footage of this home when we finished?
That home, after we did all the changes to it, the total living area was 2,245 square feet. And then the slab area, which included the porches, came out to be 2,725 square feet.
Yeah, I think the living area didn't change at all from the base home. The only thing that changed was the back porch got about 3 or 4 feet deeper than what's on. Like if you were to look at the model home in Katy, Texas, where this home is a model,
right,
on our website, all the room dimensions are going to be the same. We moved some of the space around, like Hollie did there in the master closet with that shower option. Actually, one of the master closets got bigger. And then over on the other side where that has a flex space, that custom option she did converted that into that utility room and drop zone area. But the living area didn't change. What's interesting all about that model, you look at it in Katy on our website, it's like a stucco front, right, Hollie? So it doesn't look anything like what's ultimately built, which is really interesting. You can build those two houses side by side and never know that they're the exact same home. Two very different looks. So.
Very different, yes. So Angelica has like a pop quiz for us. She wants to know if the back porch that you put on this was bigger or smaller than the driftwood. You're the one that said you hadn't been stumped yet.
I think it's going to be about the same.
Pulling out the plans.
That's very easy to check and see for me. But I think actually it is about the same. It'll look a little different because the driftwood has that cathedral ceiling on it. So it's going to make it appear much, much larger. But the reality is that they're floor plan wise, they're going to be almost identical.
Yeah.
To one another. That in fact, the driftwood is 20 foot 3 inches by 11 foot 5, and she said this one was 18.8 by 11. So, I mean, virtually identical.
All right.
Within 15 inches of being the same size, but one has a cathedral ceiling and one has a flat ceiling. So,
makes sense. So Jamie is asking about financing and whether she can use her land as equity.
Hollie, can they use their land as equity?
Yes, you can.
Absolutely can. Yeah.
In fact, that's how the majority of our people come in here to build, is because they get to use their equity as their down payment.
Yeah. In other words, some people, Jamie, don't have to have a down payment at all necessarily. I mean, you're always welcome to put more money down if you want to want to reduce your mortgage amount. But in a lot of cases, the equity in our customer's property is enough to actually cover in lieu of a down payment. So, or that is the down payment, as it were. So Yeah, great question, and absolutely.
All right, and Dave is actually joining us from California, so he's got some questions about the cost of doing things in Texas. So asking about the typical cost for running electric.
Yeah, it's actually it's going to depend a lot, Dave, on the particular power company. So Texas is very deregulated in that there's no kind of broadly speaking across the board. So like where Hollie is in San Marcos, it's what we refer to here as the hill country. So there's a lot that they could encounter rock. They could encounter a lot different terrain than I think you had another question you were talking about over in Montgomery, Texas area, which is where I was born and raised. So not a bad place to grow up. They don't all turn out like me, by the way. So it's okay. It's safe. But that's pretty close. It depends. If you're talking about the trench, the conduit, the wire, everything, you're probably closer to $20 to $30 a lineal foot. By the time you do the trench, the pipe, the wire, pull it through, all that kind of good stuff, it's much closer to $20 to $30 a lineal foot. And that is unless you're encountering rock, and there'll be usually a charge on top of that for the use of a rock saw to cut through rock, which you are not going to encounter that in the greater Montgomery area. And I think on your drilling costs, you're talking about like a water well. It's going to be difficult to say. I would budget no less than probably $9,000 to $12,000, and then we could get you hooked up with a couple of well companies there locally that could get you a better, closer price. But somewhere between 9 and 12, and they're going to be way more than that out where Hollie is in the hill country of Texas. So great question, though. Great question.
Okay, and Brad and Heidi are asking if the vinyl plank floor is that an upgrade?
Hollie.
It will depend on what kind of flooring comes included in your floor plan. So some of our areas we call wet areas. That would include like your foyer, your bathrooms, your utility room, your kitchen, and if you have a breakfast area, that's part of the kitchen. In those areas, you can either do a level 1 vinyl plank or a level 1 ceramic tile. Both are included in the base price of the home. If you're going to change out areas that have carpet, then the carpet is going to be less costly for us. And so to do vinyl plank in the areas that have carpet, that would be a little bit of an upgrade. We just have to look at how many square feet of that carpet you're going to be replacing with the vinyl plank, and then we can calculate exactly how much that will be for you.
Yeah, any of our design consultants can calculate that for you.
Great.
Great question. Thank you.
Vanessa is asking about basements and if those are an option.
No, ma'am. We don't have a way to do basements in this neck of the woods. Texas is not known for having soil that's conducive to basements. Certainly not in the greater Houston area and places where we have a much higher water table. It's cost prohibitive, and then even in the hill country and even in North Texas, it's not something that is very common. And by very common, I mean it's not really done at all. So there's not a lot of contractors that are familiar with doing it. So let's say even if you did find a place that had the soil that was conducive to doing it, trying to find a contractor that has experience doing that and can do it correctly and that will stand behind, because you are going to have that 10-year structural warranty. There just aren't contractors out there with that kind of expertise. So I would, if it were me, I would steer you away from a basement option. But where Hollie comes from, it's every house has a basement, right? I mean that's just the way it is.
Yeah, it's a little drier in Colorado.
A little drier in Colorado.
A little drier. Paul is asking if he can install Cat 6 cabling during the build himself.
The answer is yes. If you want to, we do Cat 5e. It's going to be standard, and but if you want to run Cat 6, you could. There's a couple of conditions about that. Okay, obviously it's a job site, so we want you to be very, very careful. Wear proper protective gear, things like that. And then additional to that is you can't tie into anything that our electrician has done. You can't be, interfering with any of their installs. So with Cat 6, I know you may want to be careful with how close it runs to other electrical wires so it doesn't get disturbed. Because if I understand correctly, the difference between Cat 5e and Cat 6 is a Cat 6 will supposedly carry the video better than a Cat 5e will. But I may be wrong about that, but I think that's the main advantage. But we've had customers that'll go in and do those kind of things. We just certainly coordinate with your construction superintendent Anytime you're going to go drilling into the studs and the structural part of the house, we want to know about that. And we want to be involved in at least being notified of what you're going to be doing, and so that we can help steer you away from making a mistake that would be a long-term problem. Is that fair answer, Hollie?
I think that's really thorough.
All right, here's an easier one. Joyce is asking where she can go walk through the Magnolia model.
In Katy, Texas, at our sales park in Katy, Texas. We have one open for you to do. And again, it's not going to look anything like the exterior of the one we're seeing here today, but it has the basic floor plan there for you to walk through.
Absolutely.
Cool. What other questions do we have, Don?
Crystal and Derek are asking about using their land as equity and if it affects their ag exemptions.
Great question. My first recommendation is consult a tax attorney, consult a CPA, a tax attorney or a CPA. The other thing would be consult your local county tax appraisal office. So the answer, broadly speaking, is yes, but you cannot ag exempt and homestead the exact same piece of property. So kind of what a lot of counties will do is allow you to have an imaginary acre that is your homestead, where the home actually is, and then the surrounding 12, 15, 20, 40, 400 acres remains in ag exempt status. That is a really important deal here in Texas. If you have property that is ag exempt, you want to try and keep it that way because it keeps the property taxes down low. So that is an excellent question. But the answer is each county kind of has their the ways they go about doing that. So we certainly recommend you have a conversation with your county tax appraiser's office, and they'll tell you how to properly do that. There'll be some documentation you have to fill out. You got anything to add to that, Hollie? Anything you've seen recently?
No, I mean, that's my understanding as well. And she's also asking about ability to refinance in the future. Certainly any loan program that you get into is probably going to give you that ability, but that'd be something to talk with your specific loan officer. We have a couple of lenders that we can refer you to that work with us on our Tilson Built on Your Lot program, and they can often answer some of those other questions if one of us in the office is not able to.
Perfect. Great question, Crystal. Thank you.
Angelica is asking if she has an exterior of a home that she likes that isn't one of our homes. Can we try to recreate that for her?
We certainly can.
Great question. Yeah, absolutely.
I have some folks right now that have some very creative new ideas about how to do their exterior, and I'm working on how to make that happen for them. So you bring us the ideas, we'll take a look at them and see if it's doable.
Okay, great. Joyce is asking, when using land as a down payment, what's kind of our process to make sure that they have enough equity and also so that they don't have to get PMI and all that good stuff with a mortgage? How does all that work?
You want to tackle it, Hollie? Or you want me to do it?
I'll give it a go, and then you can finish it.
You got it. You do it every day. I don't.
We have a few tools in our little tool belt here in the office where we can actually do what we call a soft pre-qualification. We'll take a look at your income to debt ratio and look at how much house you want to build and about how much the land is worth, and we'll be able to give you some educated but not exact numbers on that. Certainly be able to tell you if we think you're going to be in a position where you're going to have to put some more money down at the front end before we can get started with the build.
Yeah, no matter what, before we ever drive a nail on your property, you're going to know unequivocally exactly what your equity position is. Because one of the first things that happens is when we get the plans and map and everything done is we give those to your lender. And they order an appraisal, an as-built appraisal. So they're going to send an appraiser out there as if that home that is just a piece of paper set of plans, as if it were built today, what it would sell for. They're going to get comps just like they would if it were a resale out in a subdivision. And then they're going to give that appraisal back to the lender and to us and say, hey, here's based on what has sold in the last 6 months in this area. Here's what the appraised value of this home on this land is, and that creates an equity position of whatever it is. And so we require that actually be done before we start construction. Now that's happening when you're working with Hollie doing your design changes, your design center appointment where you're getting to select all of the beautiful finishes in your home. All that stuff's happening simultaneously while this appraisal and everything's going on. But certainly before we start, you're going to know to the dollar what your equity position is, and if you have any money that you're going to have to put down, and if you're going to have private mortgage insurance, which would be anytime you're going to have less than 20% equity, or anytime higher than 80% loan to value, you'll most likely end up with private mortgage insurance, with the exception of FHA, which is no matter what, you will have private mortgage insurance, regardless of your equity position. Great question, though, Joyce. Awesome.
Okay, Jessica is asking us why some of our homes, when she does the math, cost more per square foot. Are they, more, do they come with higher end finishes? What's driving that additional cost?
There's a couple of things that are going to drive the cost. One is the type of exterior architecture on the home. A home that has more stone or masonry on it is going to be higher than a home that just has the hardy plank siding. Also, when you look on the interior of the home, how much cabinetry is in that home? How many linear feet of countertop and things like that? Those are different things, as well as things like ceiling heights, things like that. Those are all going to be incorporated into your cost per square foot. It doesn't necessarily mean that there are any higher grade finishes on the interior. It's just exactly how much is in that house. How many bathrooms, that kind of thing. Those all factor in. Eric, you got more? I
have a PowerPoint slide I'm very, very pleased with. So it is an excellent question, I will say. I've got two little examples here. So one is a 10-foot by 10-foot home. Not very comfortable, but practical. I have 100 square feet, and I have 40 lineal feet of perimeter around it, right? So exterior wall, concrete beam, sheetrock, plywood, brick, mason, whatever it is around it, hardy plank, 100 square feet, 40. Now, in my other example down here, I've got a 50-foot by 2-foot, not very comfortable, and you cannot properly physically distance, but it's in there. 100 square feet, but I have 104 lineal feet of perimeter. So both of those homes are the same square footage, exactly the same square foot, 100 square feet. But one of them has 2.5 times more perimeter around it. So exterior wall, interior wall, man hours, waste, plywood, sheetrock, stone, stucco, you name it. We don't know anything else about it. We haven't talked about ceiling heights. We haven't talked about plumbing fixtures. We haven't talked about light fixtures. We haven't talked about cabinets like Hollie mentioned. Just the perimeter alone, it's 2.5 times more. So that is an excellent question, Jessica, and an excellent reason why you should never, ever use price per square foot for a buying decision. Because it can be, and many builders will use it as, a very misleading number. Also, are they doing it based on total slab area? Are they doing it based on total closed-in area? Are they doing it based on heated and cooled living area? Those are all ways that you can get caught up and really tripped up in cost per square foot, which is why we and our customers prefer to use the upfront contract pricing. It's way more transparent. You know exactly what you're paying for. It's line item, and because price per square foot, they are very different. I mean, I can build you two 2,000 square foot homes side by side and have a $30 or $40 a square foot difference just by design alone. Ceiling heights, gable, what type of elevation, how many offsets and corners the home has. So great question, and has nothing to do really with the finishes. It will ultimately, but even starting out, it could have nothing to do with the finishes at all.
Yes, absolutely. So Takesha has a 2-part question. The first is, can we design any of the floor plans and customize them to meet our needs? And that is a resounding yes. I can answer that. This whole presentation was about that. Yes, we can adapt it.
We have a saying that as long as it doesn't defy the laws of physics or your pocketbook, we can probably do it.
I like that. That's good. And then she's asking if we can build 2 homes in one with one foundation. She's looking to move her in-laws into her home and give them kind of their own space.
Sure. I mean, we can either design a home with a little breezeway in between to give you a little bit of separation, or we can design a home that actually has, one area that's got a little kitchenette and a mother-in-law suite, so to speak. We could do those, or if you want to build a casita, it's a little bit more separated from the house, we could do that as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. Johnny is asking about how much equity he needs in his property.
Okay.
How much equity do you need, Hollie?
We need approximately 10% of the contract price of the home we're going to build for you. And it could vary, but say, for instance, you wanted to build a home that's $300,000. If your property is worth, or you've paid in at least $30,000, then that would be the 10% of that $300,000 contract.
Exactly right. And I can tell he got hit on the autocorrect. It's Saddle Creek Forest. I know where it is because I live near there, and we have built in there many times. But nothing Seattle about Waller County, Texas, I can tell you. Yeah, he got Facebook autocorrect got him. But yeah, he's exactly right. 10% of the total value is what you have to have it, and that can be paid into the land in some way or the other. So okay. Great question.
Christy is asking about the cost difference between a box beam ceiling and a cathedral ceiling.
There's a couple of different ways that we can finish the ceilings. Cathedral ceiling can be just, where it's just vaulted up at a peak, and it doesn't necessarily have to have a fancy beam in the center. It can just be vaulted. If you want to add the beam in the center, that's a separate added cost to do that cedar wrapped beam up in the ceiling. Also, if you want to do those beams that kind of run up like fish bones off of the center beam in the middle, we can do that as well. That would be an additional cost to add those. And then box beams, if you're talking about the ones where you've just got kind of like a checkerboard with beams running this way versus this way, yeah, that's going to be a different cost than a cathedral ceiling, certainly.
Yeah, they're not too terribly different in price, but they're pretty close. And yeah, the difference would be, like, for instance, if you're doing a bonus room, let's say above the family room, you probably wouldn't have the option of doing a cathedral type ceiling. You're going to have to do some type of box beams because you're going to need that volume, the space above. So that's certainly something to consider. But yeah, not a big cost difference.
Okay. Then we have Jessica is asking if she would like a floor plan that has a bonus room upstairs. Could we build the structure and let her finish it out later, or does it need to be completely finished by us?
Eric, I'm going to let you handle that one.
Be glad to. Yeah, I'd be glad to. So I would highly recommend you let us finish it. You're probably not going to save any money by trying to finish it later. And the reason I say that is that, if you were to add bonus room costs on top of, like, if you want to do it later, we're going to have to build it to handle it. So we're going to be already needing to do the larger floor joists. So we're going to be doing 2x12 floor joists instead of 2x6 ceiling joists. We're going to need to be doing running the HVAC and designing the HVAC to accommodate it later on, because trying to add it later, it's not going to work out the same, because there's a very complicated manual J calculation that has to go into that. You're going to have a hard time keeping the house hotter or colder when you want it to be. But the odds of you being able to finish it later after it's been built for what we can finish it for now, this is actually one of those areas where price per square foot does work into your advantage to do the bonus room while the house is under construction. Because trying to make everybody, your plumber, your HVAC guys, your electrical guys, run all those things around this presumably one day future 20 by 20 space, let's say, it adds cost, because they're adding more ductwork, more plumbing, more wiring. And by the time you pay for all that and the framing that needs to be done to carry the load in those spans, you're not that far from just doing the carpet and the sheetrock and the trim and paint and being done with it. So And we would have to weatherproof it if you decide to not finish. So we're gonna have to do like some type of an exterior door, either at the base or the top of the stairs, so that we can close off that unconditioned space from the rest of the conditioned space of the home. And it just science is not working in your favor from a cost perspective to try and finish it later on. I'm not saying it can't be done. It can be done, and we have done it. But most of all the customers that we do it for come back and say we should have just done it.
I think isn't there also a implication on, if you're going through a lender, aren't they going to require that you have finished square footage in order to?
It can, yeah. That's a great point, Holly. It depends on the loan. They may require that. Well, if you're going to finish it later, we want it finished now. It's their investment. So I have seen lenders come and say, no, it has to be done before you can close, that kind of thing. But overall, just from the customer experience standpoint, trying to do it later and trying to wrangle the trades and trying to get them to not go on top of each other. Let us manage that headache. You don't want to fool with that when you're living in the home, which is now we're not talking about finishing. Now we're talking about a remodel. Yeah. So that's a great question, because I don't think a lot of builders are real transparent about why, and that's our why.
Okay, that makes sense. Paul is asking about solar power panels.
Very little. We don't get a lot of demand for that. We don't have a lot of even a regional supplier for panels. Holly, do y'all run into that? I mean, you're close to Austin, where if it was happening, it's going to be happening there.
Yeah, we've had some people request it. I don't know that I've ever dealt with anybody that we've added that as part of the home. I think if anything, we might have to look at the roof structure to see if it's been structured in such a way that they could come in after market, after they close and add that to the home.
Yep. Yeah. And that's something else to think about too, is what type of battery bank. You're going to have the batteries housed somewhere, and they're going to take up a significant amount of space as well, and they give off a significant amount of heat. So that's something to consider. You're going to have to bring them somewhere down in the living area as well. You're probably giving up a room for that. But
okay.
What other questions do we have?
We have lots of questions, guys. Y'all doing all right?
I'm good. It's up to Holly. It's her day.
I'm good.
Donna is asking about adding a timber frame feature to the exterior of the home, kind of have an accent on the front or rear elevation.
So if we're talking about like what's behind me here, the answer is, of course, we can do that. This is on our LaSalle model home in Huntsville, Texas, up in Texas Grand Ranch. Otherwise, if it's something more specific, we just need to see a sample of it. But there's a very good chance that our lumber supplier can source just about anything you can dream up.
Yeah, we already have the real soffit type of material that you can put on the ceilings of the porches. So that product is definitely available.
Sure.
And I'm currently getting a little bit more information on if that product is a good product to use, say, on the inside wall of a covered porch. So
let me cut you a shortcut, and the answer is yes. We have it in our Waxahachie Design Center on the wall. Okay. So you're in good shape.
All right, awesome. Brad and Heidi are asking about the Magnolia. They've noticed that there's a bonus room option. Do we have an idea of what that additional cost would be?
Eric, do you happen to have that information handy?
I can get it pretty quick. If you want to bounce another question or two up there, Dawn, I can certainly do that.
Let's see. All of our other questions are also cost related. So.
Well, then I will make it snappy. So let's see.
I'm going to just say off the top of my head, Eric, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. It's probably going to be in the neighborhood of 35 to 40,000.
Probably pretty close. It's 53.
Ooh, I was a little light on that.
53,000. Well, it's big. It's not. It's not your average 450 square foot. It's a 620 square foot bonus room. So it's larger than a lot of the other ones that we do. But yeah, about 50,000, depending on where you're building specifically. But it's pretty close.
Takesha is asking about the LaSalle behind you. How the upgrades that we have in the model. Do we know cost difference on those?
No, I don't have a list of those. The best thing to do would be to reach out to the Huntsville location and get a price specifically from them. They can help walk you through that. So.
All right, perfect. Amber is asking specifically about the Fredericksburg and those 3 little windows at the top on the outside, the dormers. Can they be removed so that they just have 3 little cubby areas?
So taking the windows?
Taking the cubbies off. So completely removing the dormers.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we can do that. We give you a credit for removing those.
Okay.
Nothing to it.
Perfect. And then Jessica is asking about incentives for using our preferred lenders.
Yeah, it goes faster and it's a more pleasant experience. So yeah, we don't deliberately, we don't have any monetary incentives to go with them because we don't have any type of financial interest in those companies. We truly recommend those because of the customer experience. It's such a better experience on time frame and on just knowing the ins and outs of building on your land in rural areas. We find so many times that lenders, particularly the big boys, and I'll throw the names out there. Your Wells Fargo's, your Bank of America's, your Capital Ones. You're dealing with somebody in some other part of the country that doesn't understand. Like this is in Kingsbury, Texas, right on 10 acres, somewhere between Luling and Seguin. Like, good luck getting familiar with that. But we deliberately don't offer financial incentive because we don't want it to be, well, we picked them because you gave us percentage off. It's truly about your experience.
Awesome. So Lagina is saying she is in love with the Breckenridge, but would like to build it on a smaller scale. Is that possible?
Yes. But really it's going to end up taking features that you like about it and probably put them in one of, like a plan like the Magnolia, for instance. Back when we did a couple of weeks ago where they'd done a Magnolia, they'd taken the master bath out of the Fredericksburg and the kitchen out of the Fredericksburg and did exactly that. So as far as just taking the Fredericksburg and making the room smaller, you're probably not going to be pleased with the end result of that. You get rooms that are kind of too small to work, but you're better off starting with one of our other plans, get with a consultant and tell them the features that you really, really like about something like the Fredericksburg and then go from there. Is that about, what else would you add to that, Hollie?
Yeah, sometimes you look at a piece of paper and you see all the different rooms on there. When you try to shrink them down, it still looks good on a piece of paper, but if you actually try to walk through that and live in it, you'll find out, oh, this doesn't really work. So going with one of our plans that we've already kind of got some custom options designed for, we've already designed them. We know they're actually going to be livable. We don't want to have you be our guinea pig and try to shrink one of those floor plans, and then you find out, ooh, this is really not the room that I need.
Absolutely right.
Well said. Let's see. Johnny has a specific math question for you, Eric. So he wants the Breckenridge elevation C. He's seeing a price of $482,000. So he's got some money left on his property. He's paid in $50,000. How's he coming out on equity?
Okay, so 482 on the price, 50,000 is owed. So we are looking about 50,000 what is owed left on the property at 40. But we have paid 50. We'd be pretty close. So it sounds like the property is worth probably close to 100. Is that what I'm guessing? Really close, 90 or $100,000 probably. So what we'd be talking about would be 482,000 with 100,000 onto that worth of land, 582. So yeah, about 58,000 in. So you would be very, 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 very close. Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect.
Well said, Johnny.
And let's see, I have more questions coming in, but they're not coming into the platform, so I can put them on the screen. So I'll read them to you.
Oh boy.
People are asking if features of the LaSalle can be used on a smaller floor plan. Specifically, she likes those really big windows in the living area.
Oh yeah. So even the one that Hollie did, the Magnolia, it comes with 6 foot by 6 foot, I think, or 5 foot by 6 foot fixed windows. But yeah, you can do those big windows in any floor plan. I mean, pretty well any family room that we have, even in our smaller plans, is going to be at least 17 feet wide, most likely. And so that's got plenty of room for 2 large fixed plate glass windows.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. And then we have Joyce, who is bringing lots of people into her home. So she's going to have a mother-in-law suite and her set of parents, so 2 sets of in-laws living in the house with her. And where's the best place to start on her floor plans to figure out how to make that work?
Actually, I've done that on a couple of homes for folks that had, more than one generation living within the home. One of the ones that I helped some folks with was our Hidalgo model. We have an option in there for a guest suite. We also have an option for another bedroom with a Jack and Jill bath. So, we'll just kind of look at the floor plans and figure out a way to most efficiently give you the space that you need.
Yeah, in short, Joyce, it's set up an appointment, and you'll need to sit down with a consultant and talk about budget first, and then let them kind of guide you through design-wise what's going to fit in that budget that still lends itself to that type of flexibility.
Okay. And then Brad and Heidi are asking about what type of time frame do they need to start the process?
So our process, because we don't know anything about your property when we start out, we spend about the first 100 days collecting information and doing things like doing your stakeout, getting soil tests, getting permits, those types of things. Once we've gotten past that first 100 days or so, then we actually begin the construction process. And construction right now is running around 6 to 7 months, but it'll depend on environmental conditions. We can't control Mother Nature. Also depends on if you're in an area where we have to wait for them to do some inspections for us, because we're going to be on their time schedule, they won't be on ours. So we loosely say about a year.
Yeah, I would tell people, to count 10 to 12 months, count when the day you want to be in the home, whatever celebration you want to be having there, kid's birthday, Thanksgiving, Christmas, whatever, count back 10 to 12 months. That's when you need to start the process. You need to start then. There's no fast forward button. In my whole career doing this, I've seen the pause button, I've seen the stop button, I've seen the rewind button. I don't like that button. I have never found the fast forward button. It's not. Oh, that's not true. We did an Extreme Makeover Home Edition in Salado, Texas.
Yeah.
And then we will not be doing that ever again. It was,
no, we will not.
That was the only fast forward we ever did, and that was So there's a fast forward button.
But no, we're done with that.
I count back 10 to 12 months and start then.
Okay, wonderful. Danielle is asking if she hasn't purchased her land yet and she has, a few properties that she's looking at, is it better to get in touch with us before making her decision?
Yes. Please. Even if nothing else, we can just give you, hey, here's what we've experienced in XYZ subdivision, XYZ county, and here's what we've experienced over here. So yeah, absolutely. And there's some little hacks we can show you on how to, check flood information online that doesn't cost anything, and check deed restrictions online. All that information is recorded at the county, so we can check on that kind of stuff for you and say, hey, look, this lot appears to cost less, but you're going to have to spend this much more on doing 100% masonry or something, some deal like that. And so, yeah, we would love to offer you guidance before you buy it.
Also, you have to take into consideration if the size of the property is going to be the right size for the house you want to build, especially if you're looking at a smaller piece of smaller property. Yeah,
counting your building lines and setbacks and stuff too. That's a great point, Holly. Thank you.
Absolutely. And then Jessica is asking if prepping the land for building is included in the price of the home.
Up to a certain amount, yes. So yes, it depends. So it depends on the county and what you're building, right, Holly? I mean,
yes.
It varies by county to county, but yes, there's a certain amount, usually somewhere between 12 and 30 inches of drop or out of level that is included in the base price of every one of our homes, depending on the county in which you're building.
Right. And now, if you've got a heavily treed lot, that's a different situation than if you're building on a lot that's already got a fairly clear area that you want to build in.
Mm-hmm.
If you've got a heavily treed lot, then certainly we don't just go in there and start building on the house, on the land with the trees on it. That's got to be taken care of beforehand.
Cool.
All right, wonderful. Eric, Johnny is asking if he can work with you.
Oh, Johnny, you can get so much better help than me, brother. Man, that's why we've got people like Holly and 20 other folks just like her across the state that have the time and resources to devote to you completely. I'm I did used to do this for a living. It is what I used to do for a living, what Hollie does now, and I enjoyed it very, very much. But my calling is different now. I'm here now to support the Hollie Willsons and the Eric McKiernans, the Winnie Locks, those like that you see. So I'm that's what I do. So, but I'm pretty easy to find and get a hold of. If you got questions, if they need support, they can all get a hold of me pretty easy. Is that right, Hollie? Is that fair?
Right.
And now it's recorded, so I got no choice.
Well, and we have you up on here live a couple times a week, so you can come ask you any questions you want.
It's true. It's true.
Jessica is asking if she needs to already have her septic in place before she begins building.
No, you do not. If you happen to have septic there, then, you know, we can typically figure out how to get the house positioned in the right place. But having it beforehand sometimes is a disadvantage. We don't want to have heavy machinery, concrete mixers, or trucks delivering masonry driving over a line and possibly crushing something. So we do need a design for that septic system before we can begin the actual construction on the house. But again, we've got about 100 days from the time you sign your contract until we start building. That gives you the time to get that septic design for us so that we can make sure everything's going to match up properly, make sure your septic stub's in the right location. And then we can, you know, let you know when the time is appropriate for you to begin the actual installation of that septic. And you can also, if you'd like to have us take care of all those details, you can actually contract with Tilson to provide your septic system, wrap that in with the contract on the house.
Okay, and awesome. Brad and Heidi had a very similar question, also wondering the same thing with well. Do they have to have the water well on?
Yeah, not yet. You don't have to have it on there right away. It's, I mean, if you do, great. We will have to have it eventually, obviously, but it does not have to be there in place beforehand. You sound like you do. So you're in good shape. We like Van Zandt County. It's Canton, Texas, good old East Texas place. So yeah, if it's there, we work around it. For like the one that Hollie did just today, that we did this on, obviously their water and septic was already there because they were living on the property. So we can certainly work around it, but like she said, it can restrict where the house can go. Because you know, we have another video talking about that, which did last Saturday, about, you know, how far away different things have to be from the home. So,
and if they don't have well or septic, we can give them recommendations of people in the area they're building in that we know will do a good job for them.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And then they also had a follow-up question about dirt work and if that is included.
So yeah, same thing. Up depending on the county, if you're in Van Zandt, up to a certain amount, and I can't remember offhand if it's 12 or 18 inches, but it's somewhere close to that of dirt work that is already included, up to a certain, you know, slope of the property. And then in all of our homes, we establish positive drainage away from the house all the way around, of course, to make sure that water is not standing up against the foundation, because we are responsible for the foundation.
Okay, great. And then Legina is asking if the driveway needs to be in place before building.
You don't want a finished driveway necessarily, because we're going to have some, again, big pieces of machinery that are going to be driving back and forth over that. Some of our workers might have a little oil leak on their truck or something. We certainly don't want that to ruin your finished driveway. So we do need a construction driveway into the site. Generally, it will need to have either some kind of road base or something on it, just to make sure we're not going to get stuck trying to drive in and out. And then toward the end of the process, when you're getting closer to closing, that's when you'll need to address getting your finished drive-in on the plot.
Well said, Hollie. It's like you do this for a living. It's crazy. It's so good.
All right. Well, that was our final question.
Oh, man. Well, you guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Again, we'll post this later to our YouTube channel, so it'll be over there if you think you missed something. And thank you so much for spending the time with us. Thank you, Hollie, for spending your time with us. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you, Dawn, for moderating this. And I think even we had another team member, maybe Kelsey was in the background helping out too.
Yes, so, Kelsey was answering questions as well. So thank you, Kelsey.
Thank you, Kelsey. So anyway, we will be live again next Tuesday. Is that correct, Dawn?
Yes, we will be. And
next Tuesday we'll be live again. And we'll be doing another one of these with our our design consultant, Wendy Locke, out of the Spring location. So if you got any questions, you can reach out to us on all of our various channels. We've got our website you can go to, where we've got all kinds of virtual tours and galleries and floor plans to see, Instagram page, our Facebook page here, of course, where you are. You can reach out to Hollie directly, as her information is out there as well. You can find her at our San Marcos location. Other than that, we're so grateful you joined us, and we hope to someday soon make you part of the Tilson family. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.